Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today's October 20th, 2022, and let's get over the news happening in Ukraine, shall we, and around the world as well. So I wanted to go first a little bit with the map, just around Kherson for now, because there hasn't been many changes in the last couple weeks since the Ukrainians last did a very big push in Kherson region. But as of 2 days ago, the Ukraine government mentioned that there was a media blackout that they've installed. And essentially, whenever they do that, that means that they are on the offensive again. And who knows, maybe that's another ploy by the Ukraine army to perhaps mention that they're doing offensive in Kherson, but in reality, they might hit a different position, not necessarily in this region here. So just a quick update since last time I did the update over the map, it was a few months ago, but we took a lot of territory back. As you can see here, this was essentially, if I zoom in here, all this green kind of line that's going around Velika Alexandrivka, Arkhangelske, um, Osokorivka around here. This was the kind of pre-September line. And we managed to push the Russians out very, very deep in the last month and a half, all the way up to essentially Duchane. Then you can see here, this is sort of the fighting area right now. And we're trying to push them through Milove and then go all the way up to Berislav. And then obviously take control over Nova Kakhovka, which is the Nova Kakhovka Dam, which is right here. And the Russian military general, I think a day or two ago, was preparing the Russians for an eventual defeat around this region. I'm not going to show the video. I think most of the people have already seen it, but you can easily find it. He was interviewed for the very first time by the Russian media, and he was sort of pointing that Kherson is pretty much a lost cause. He wasn't saying it directly, but his tone and voicing clearly indicated the Russians are prepared to or preparing its population to an eventual loss on this front. So it's great news for the Ukrainian military. It's not going to be easy. The Russians are still going to put up a fight. They have a lot to lose here. So expect by the winter to see lots of progress by the Ukrainian military, but it's still going to be relatively slow because of Kherson being a very relatively difficult terrain to gain ground in. Because as I've said multiple times in my previous videos, Kherson and the entirety of southern Ukraine is very flat with really minimal amounts of forest cover. So you're very exposed every time you're on the move, and it's difficult to defend and attack as well. So that's that for Kherson. And let's hit it a little bit around the Donetsk axis here. There's not much movement in the Zaporizhia front, and I'm not expecting much movement in the next couple weeks. But if we look here, the Russians are trying to push through Bakhmut right here. And essentially, this is their Wagner private military conscripts that are fighting here. And if you haven't heard yet, Wagner also has been recruiting a lot of prisoners, and not any type of prisoners, the most brutal ones, to fight for them. And so they're trying to gain ground in Bakhmut, but they've been doing this for the last 3 months, and there has been very minimal gains. Essentially, it's been very um, at a standstill, right? They kind of gain a little bit of ground, and Ukraine's kind of counterattack. So I don't really understand what they're trying to do here. They perhaps hope that they can get a breakthrough and push all the way up to Slavyansk and then cripple our lines. But I think we've had a lot of time to even create multiple lines of defense past Bakhmut. So I don't see the Russians gaining any ground around here in a time, any near time, nearby future, I should say. And the last axis I wanted to hit up is the Kharkiv axis. So the Ukrainians have put a priority to hit Svatove. Following our very successful counterattack in Kharkiv, we took pretty much the entire oblast back, and the Russians are essentially creating a massive defense line here, kind of the Maginot Line that the French did back in World War II, which was useless. At the end of the day, the Germans still managed to do blitzkrieg and capture France within a matter of weeks. So I don't see them, even they're trying to create some sort of, defense here with their concrete blocks and trenches. It's useless in my opinion. Um, and it kind of indicates that they're kind of ready to lose, right? Because there was like a map that showed that this entire sort of defense was from Krimina to Svatove, and it's sort of like did a really big 90-degree angle here and was kind of following this highway here or this road. So I'm not really sure what the plan is, but I guess the Russians are trying to kind of defend from here up to here like this, kind of a 90-degree angle. We'll see where that goes, but I don't expect the Russians to do much, or this line doing much good for them. And they're trying to push again a little bit back towards Liman, but if anything, they might gain a little bit of ground, but it's just temporary in my opinion. So that's that for the front line. I'm expecting a lot of movement in the next couple of weeks, end of October, beginning of November, right before winter starts, by the Ukrainian army. Let's hope that's the case because I think it's going to be critical movement for us to do some big moves right before the winter hits. So I'll keep you guys updated with other videos in the near future. So now let's get to the news. I have a couple articles that I pulled up here, some pretty big news today as well. In England, I'll hit that later. But today, quite comical. Again, I'm not even sure why like the world and Europe tries to prove that the drones that were hitting Ukraine as of late are Iranian. It's pretty clear they are, but just for those that are still skeptical that these are not Iranian drones or whatever, or these are Iranian drones, well, today in one of the news channels, one of the Russian government agents went live, and he didn't realize that he had a hot mic on right before going live. And I'm not going to show the video, but essentially he goes on live and he tells the anchors that, look, we know that these drones are Iranian, but let's not talk about it. And it was caught live on TV, and the anchor was like, what did you just say? Like, how, why did you just say that type of thing? Like, you didn't realize you were live. So again, if you need a proof, I mean, you can watch this video here, um, where essentially he goes live and he admits that the drones that are hitting Ukrainian cities are Iranian. So yeah, it's pretty funny because this was supposed to be secret, but it's not anymore, I guess. The biggest news of the day is the fact that the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss resigns after only 45 days in office. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty shocked, but not shocked at the same time. I think that she wasn't dealt the best hand of cards when she went in September to take over from Boris Johnson. But at the same time, I do understand the reason why. There was a lot of backlash, especially with her economic policies that she quickly tried to push for, and it was disastrous, nearly disastrous, almost broke UK's economy. For those that are not aware, the inflation, I think, was the highest in Europe, was in Britain. And Liz Truss tried to push for economic policies that almost destroyed the UK economy, especially in the pension plans that were almost completely bankrupt due to that. I think you can read a little bit more about it. I'm not going to go into detail, but it almost crippled UK's economy. So I understand why she resigned, and she probably wasn't prepared for that role. There was too much pressure. There was too many factors that she just couldn't control as well. So unfortunately, I think Ukrainians are still grateful. Liz continued Boris's policy of having a very strong stance against the Russians and continuing their support for the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people. So whoever continues or takes this role, I'm sure they will continue to do the same thing. So thank you, Liz. It was only 45 days, but sometimes some roles are just not meant for for certain people. So that's that. And the Institute of War came out with a news article today that Russia may be planning a false flag attack on Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, or the dam, essentially. It's the Russian playbook, right? I think usually it's a very worrisome tale when they first try to prepare their people for some sort of false flag attack that NATO or the United States or the Ukrainians are trying to do, and then they go ahead and do it and blame obviously the West and tell their people that, oh, we warned you that was about to happen. And that's worrisome because the dam, obviously, if it's broken, it's going to flood the entire southern Kherson and Zaporizhia region. It would be pretty catastrophic, especially for the city of Kherson. But it would make sense for the Russian army to do that because that would make the life more complicated for the Ukrainian army to push towards Kherson and cut through Novakakhovka to then enter through Zaporizhia. If we look at the map here, let me zoom out a little bit. We'll go here. The dam is right here. And so if they break the dam, essentially all this water from the Dnipro River will just pretty much be the same as it is here, probably even more. Will just flood everything south, and perhaps even Kherson, the majority of the Kherson city. It would be catastrophic. And thus why they've also been announcing the retreat of their soldiers, partial retreat, and of the population of Kherson. But unfortunately, I have to be realistic, and this is a very plausible scenario that they might try to push for because they don't want the Ukrainians to also cut through here quickly and then enter Zaporizhia, which is, obviously here in this Kherson here, and then this is Zaporizhia Oblast on the right. So we'll see what happens, but this is not good news. And last but not least, again, to be confirmed, but apparently some Ukrainian Telegram channels are saying that the Russians are abandoning Enerhodar. That's the city that's nearby the nuclear power plant. Again, this is a little bit worrisome. It's to be confirmed if it's true or not, but I have heard in the last couple hours that the Ukrainian army has noticed a lot of convoys moving out of the city. But again, it's to be confirmed. I'm very surprised if they would do that because Enerhodar is sort of their blackmailing card, right? They can always say, "Hey, we got this nuclear station. We can do whatever we want with it." So I'm not really sure what is happening there, but nonetheless, it is to be confirmed still. So that's that, guys. Hope you enjoyed my video. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have anything to say, any of your personal opinions. And I'll try to pull up another video maybe on the weekend if I have time. But that's it for me, and I'm wishing you guys a very good day. Thank you.